Satisfy your need for happiness through your own curiosity with the Ranveer Show. That character was very important. It's actually the first thing I ever told you when I met you for the first time in life. If there's any college student listening to this till this point, please enjoy the hell out of your college life.
You know, one word that gets synonymous with your college and hostel life: unaccountability. You don't have to tell anybody when you're going, where you're going, why you're going, where you are, what have you been doing, how much are you spending. It's just one free-spirited, time of your lives.
Kind of feel like crying right now. I think every guy in this room misses the unaccountability.
यार.
If you're listening to this, guys, girls.
कि रात को 12 बजे गए और भुर्जी खा लिया यार. Because I can't do it. Who you to ask me? I can, I'll do it. The best times of our life.
Like, what can you do other than miss being a college student? You can't go back to that point. And now you're too motivated to not keep growing.
You know, one of the things that gives you equal satisfaction is returning back to society. What do you think you've had? You know, like what you're doing with your podcast, when you meet people who are heartfelt, grateful, and express that to you for making a difference in their lives, that gives you equal amount of happiness, man.
Which is what I did with you when we met. Do you remember we met in that random Dubai?
And I remember it very clearly. I was with Mr. Nambi Narayan. You guys were sitting across the hall from me, and you guys walked up and you took a picture, and then we spoke.
I had to tell you that because that was our Madhavan for me. So I'll say it, in front of camera. And people accuse me for having too many stories, and they believe that some of my stories are false. But the truth is, I'm a bit of a psycho. So I put myself in uncomfortable positions and my head works in uncomfortable ways, which gives rise to great stories, which gives rise to great content. Okay. So this is actually what happened. Very good student till the 12th standard. And right when engineering college started, I went to the narrative that my parents gave me in the 9th, 10th and 12th, that study now. And then once you begin engineering college, you can stop studying. So I really stopped studying. Yeah. And I got my heart broken. And then from being a top student, I failed in my exam. And the way people treat you after you're literally at the bottom of the class in terms of grades, and you've had that fall from grace. Because in terms of entrance marks, I was the topper in my class. That's how sharp I was in the 12th. And then a combination of alcohol, heartbreak, and unaccountability brought me to the bottom. Very important reality check, because you realize how failure changes the way you get treated in society, which at that point is your classroom. The way people look at you. Some treat you with pity, some treat you with their own ego, which is like, what an idiot for failing. And both those emotions have an impact on your psychology. Because of the embarrassment and because of how much I was told that I should be embarrassed, I'm going to say this, and I say this with a lot of sensitivity, but there was a point where I was like, suicide. It had actually pushed me till that point just because of how I was being treated. But it's a flash of a thought. It's obviously not something you do, because the moment that flash of that thought is seen by your head, you think of your mother, you think of your sister, the people who love you, your bros. And then you think of their reality after you would have committed suicide.
Which is what we said in 3 Idiots.
I started really disliking engineering college. That flash of suicide would come into my head. And I'd remember your character from 3 Idiots, who had the conversation with his dad at the end of engineering college, saying that, I won't be able to do this traditional thing. The exact same scene has happened in my life.
Everybody's life.
Yeah.
Ranveer, why do you think I accept that character? Because I knew it was going to become immortal. You're not the only one who went through those kind of phases. Every child who wants to pursue a dream and wants to convince their ward or their parent that they want to follow a different route as opposed to what they have in mind has to have this Abba Nahi Manegi conversation. Right? But let me try and tell you another angle to what you went through. Okay? That is life's way of preparing you for where you had to go. Think of what I'm saying. The next time you faced a similar situation, brother, the next time you face this much of a downfall, you know that you've gone to the pits of it and have come back. So this is nothing. This is the tool that life prepares you for. This is the only place in the world you can get that is during college time. The humiliation, the resentment, everything, the swallowing of the pride, the swallowing of the ego, getting your nose bashed in. They say the first guy through the wall. In the army, they say the first guy through the wall is the one who gets a bloody nose. So to get that, you have to be the first guy sometimes. But guess what? Life can throw a spanner now and you can still go lose everything, come to that point and still know that you can come back to where you are because you've done it before.
At that point, it felt like a cut.
Yeah.
And now I realize it was actually a sword that I was being given.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most important weapon is being able to deal with failure.
That's the one thing that's going to be your best friend all your life.
Yeah. And honestly, life can't get worse than that. The reality of life can't get worse than being in that position to consider something like suicide. That means your emotional state has reached that point.
Right.
If you can get past that, then you'll just keep going upwards. It's not a cliche.
Yeah.
People often get sick of motivational advice, but this rise from the ashes thing is very true.
Yeah.
Because you come out a very different person.
I had this when I did Sala Kadus. I couldn't put I worked hard. I built up my physique for 1.5 years. And the producer I was supposed to do it suddenly decided he didn't want to do this movie because it was women oriented and it was not even me being the hero. The girl was the stuff like that. So I was disgusted. I'm like, screw it. I've written this thing. I've worked on the screenplay. I've done everything. And nobody wants to do it. Screw it. I'll just drop this project and I walk off. And I have a very dear friend from Los Angeles who called. And he said, Maddie, I can't stop you from giving it up right now. But remember this, the moment you give up at this stage, after coming this far, the next time when you try and attempt something and there is a challenge, you won't even dip so low. You'll give up much earlier. And your level of success will keep on becoming smaller because you gave up much earlier. He said, right now, push through it. What is going to happen? The film is not going to get made or released now. But make it first. We'll see if it doesn't get released. Get the money, put it. So that's how I said, you know what? Let me give one more shot. One more shot. And it worked. So I love the failures, man. I love all that it teaches me. It teaches me what I'm capable of rising from. And it's not being preachy here. I'm telling you, that's one of the biggest tools and successes I've had in my life is to overcome my failures.
What was this failure situation for you when you were growing up? Because there must have been some character building thing. Like you have really strong. I mean, I'm not trying to compliment you, but that's where the question comes from. Like if you're...
So for me, I flunked in the 8th standard because I got 39% in mathematics or something. And the school did not allow me to go to the next class because I had flunked. And I was not a very good academic student, much to the disgust and dismay of my parents who are, this South Indian Iyengar boy is totally useless and he's not going to get married. Their dream was that I should come back and join Tata Steel and, get into the same house that my father is. That was their... And fair enough, that was their idea of success. So I remember my parents being heartbroken. And, I went for an exchange program to Canada. I came back and my dad is not prone to dramatic outbursts, okay? But we were walking down the railway track in, was it Aurangabad or Nasik? I don't remember. After the last engineering college, I refused my admission because I didn't have 70% in physics, chemistry, and mathematics. So he had tears in his eyes. And he looked at me and he said, what have I done wrong with you? What do you want to do? And he's not prone to dramatics. Like I said, he's a very dignified kind of a guy. And I looked at him and I had this Abba Nahi Manengi conversation with him in the middle of those tracks. It was Akola Amravati area. Huh? In the middle of the railway track. We were walking because the bus had dropped us and we had to go to the station to pack. So he said, what do you want to do? What have I done wrong? What have I done wrong with you? Deserve this. You're not going to be an engineer. I said, Appa, I don't know what I'm going to become. But I do know what I don't want to do. And I don't want to do your job. If I have to sit on the table for 30 years in my life working for somebody, I'll end up killing somebody because I'm not right for that. When can you understand that? All I will tell you is that I will not let you down. I will not embarrass you. I will not come to you for money. Now will I deprive you of your dignity. I know your independence and your respect is the most important thing for you. That I will never touch. But at least give me the liberty to try and follow the line that I want to. He said, what do you want to do? You want to join an acting school? What do you want to do? I said, I don't know what I want to do. So I'm happy to do what you tell me to do. But I do know that I don't want to be an engineer. I don't want to do a 9-to-5 job. He looked at me very strangely that day, wiped his tears. And he said, okay, let's go. And I think he changed the way he looked at life from then on. I was very lucky that he then started supporting me in everything I did. And then, of course, rest is history. I joined electronics in Kolhapur, of all the places. That turned out to be the best decision of my life.
Why?
Because I learned so much, Ranveer. In all the travels that I do, people think that when you travel, you get to know a lot about different parts of the world. But when you travel, you actually get to know a lot more about yourself, about not how to pass judgment, about not how to, try to change the world into your way of thinking. It's just appreciate other people's way of thinking and learn how it is done. In Kolhapur, I learned what friendship means, what camaraderie means, what being a middle-class, strong, valued person means. And I have friends from then who will take a bullet for me. I'm telling you, right? That they're even now. Kolhapur loves me. I love Kolhapur. I married the girl from there, for crying out loud. So it was the best decision. Mahalakshmi there adopted me and has never deprived me of her presence in my life. So what the hell?
If you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out these curated playlists that we've made especially for you related to the subject that was spoken about in this clip.